Why do Sony fans get overly emotional when you point out Horizon 2 is copying elements of Breath of the Wild? I have a follow-up question to this one. Brian, for no reason whatsoever, I'll let you go first.
This is a tough question to answer. The person who asked the question must be really good at this. Fuck. I have no idea why people get overly emotional. Again, I think it's the whole Gears of War effect, where you get... Again, Gears of War was not the first third-person shooter game to do that, but it's the most recognized to do that. So I think people just get really upset when something that they like is told to be similar to something else. Because even if you look at...
What are you talking about? What? Do what?
The whole third-person cover-based shooter thing. It was not...
Oh, yeah, that's not new. It's not,
Kill Switch was the one that popularized it, right? Kill Switch?
No, yeah, I think it was just the roadie run that Gears is really stuck out with, because that's something they created. But yeah, the cover-based, it's always been around.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian. Because I have a question about this.
Like, Genshin Impact? Again, heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild. And even that Immortals Phoenix Rising, also heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild, to the point where you could think that it's like a mod of it, just by looking at how the game plays. But yeah, again, that happened. People were very quiet, and then suddenly people saying, oh, like... this game is now copying Breath of the Wild, and then suddenly people are up in arms and getting very offended by it. It's like, is that not a compliment? Like, isn't that a good thing? Like,
okay, let's.
This?
I want to break this down. What is Horizon 2 copying from Breath of the Wild?
The glider. People
Sly Cooper did that. Sly Cooper did that before Breath of the Wild.
True, but again, it's going back to the whole Gears of War thing. Like, Breath of the Wild is like the one in the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
like
the one that popularized it.
Exactly. So, again, I just don't know why people are upset. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, you can copy from other games, but it's the thing. All games do that.
I mean,
the glider is the Peach Stretch from Mario 2. That's a great point, Upper AK.
Soul Reaver had a
Soul
Reaver had a gliding ability too.
Here's my question. Why the fuck do Nintendo fans always have to say that Breath of the Wild inspired every game? That's what I want to know. Every time a game was out, they stole from Breath of the Wild. They stole from Breath of the Wild. You know, games existed before Breath of the Wild, right? And Breath of the Wild, there's nothing in that game that's original. It's all ripped off of other games. So, like, Breath of the Wild was not the first game in existence. That's what I want to know. And I think that's where part of that animosity comes from, because you hear this, Breath of the Wild inspired, Breath of the Wild inspired, Breath of the Wild inspired. You know, so people are just tired of hearing that shit, you know?
Starting to get Dark Souls level of...
Yeah, exactly. You know?
Or Rise.
Like, there is nothing original in Breath of the Wild, right?
I got Carlos.
So it's like, true. So thanks, it's like, it does things very well. I will give it that, but you've seen all that shit before, you know? So there's nothing special about it, to be honest. So I think that's what it is. People are just tired of these Nintendo fans constantly, like, hailing it as the most technical, marvelous achievement ever, you know? The true original, a pioneer, you know? And it's not. So I think that's where that's coming from. Breath of the Wild copy, Breath of the Wild. There you go, man. Go ahead, guys. Chime in.
Go ahead, Brett.
I think Breath of the Wild did do some stuff that was kind of new and innovative at the time, man. I mean, it kind of... And a lot of it was honestly taking it back. So maybe new and innovative wasn't the kind of thing to do. But especially at the time, open world games were very direction... one after the other. Like, you went to a new area, you unlocked a thing, it told you to go this new area, you unlocked the thing, you unlocked a new thing. Zelda's exploration was very broad. It was very open. You were pretty much allowed to go wherever you want. The game tried to use visual navigation cues and landscape to try and drive you towards certain things that, you know, could pop up as kind of an event. So the approach to open world, I think, was kind of significantly different. Also, it was the first goddamn game where you're just allowed to climb wherever the fuck you want. So I think, like many games, it took some things that were already done, it enhanced them, it put them back out there. The industry agreed that this is, you know, a step forward, and then adopted those. So everybody's right. I mean, it did adopt things that were done before, and it did them a little bit differently, and then those were adopted by other people. But that doesn't mean that it didn't look at the success of the game and try and model at least some of it after Zelda. I mean, but even then, like the basic DNA of it is like fucking old school original Zelda, where you have to get the different tools to use them to open. It's kind of like saying like, oh, that game's a Metroidvania. It's just ripping off Metroid. Like, yeah, man, like that's part of the DNA of video games. A Zelda-like has always been known as, you use different tools and new tools to access different areas, and then you go to a dungeon that gives you a new tool which accesses you another area. So that's kind of always a thing. But I won't say that it's patently untrue and that there's not any kind of good point to it.
Yeah, my thing is like, there was another game that just threw you into the middle of it and let you just go where you want. The original Legend.
Question,
you know what I'm saying? Like Zelda was just doing what it always did, in that respect.
Here's my question. Why are PS fans such as yourself so happy to give the credit to anybody else? Because I hear a lot of, oh, it didn't copy this from this. It copied this from its other game. So you don't really care that it's being copied. You just really care that it's Zelda getting credit for it?
No, my point is I don't like the fact that people are saying that the Breath of the Wild specifically is this giant fucking innovative game when it's not. If you want to say Ocarina of Time is super innovative, I will give you that all day, every day. But not Breath of the Wild. It does what it does well, but it did not come up with a lot of this shit already.
Oh, fucking Crimea River. People that said the same shit about. You go back and listen to the podcast where I would talk about this exact same fucking thing when people were hailing Horizon as this new big fucking thing. It's just a rehash of old parts.
It is, and no one's going to say it.
No one said it's innovative.
No one said it's innovative. Yeah.
That's what an evolution is, though. Like that, when you take something and you build on the back of it. No video game has been completely brand new fucking inspired in fucking years, man. It's always a half step up beyond what used to be there. So they tweak the approach.
Let me finish. No, but my point is like, I understand that, but I'm just saying, don't act like Breath of the Wild is the only game that came up with this shit. That's my only point. Not you, Brett. These people online, these Nintendo fans.
These people.
I mean, it's this whole thing. First of all, no one is saying Horizon innovated anything.
Of course not. It took that game was a hodgepodge of everything that came before. It just did it very, very well. That's all it is.
And the whole thing with Breath of the Wild, it's no paradigm shift anywhere with that game. It just implements what's already been done and does it really well.
Yeah.
The whole sandbox thing. I mean, Fallout did a sandbox before Breath of the Wild did. I mean, Ocarina of Time kind of did it too. The whole
Zelda did it.
Yeah, the whole thing with the climbing. I mean, I feel like the Assassin's Creed was a bigger paradigm shift in climbing than Breath of the Wild was.
Easily.
So it just does its own twist on things. It's an evolution. All of these games are an evolution. If there is one game that is truly innovating, it should get recognized for it. But I don't think any of these games are.
Why do you think we all praised the fucking Mordor game? We're like, oh shit, this is doing something we've never seen before. You know how rare that is? And that's my point,
Nemesis system.
Yeah, the Nemesis. Remember, we were all like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Because we've never seen anything like that before. That's very rare when you say I've never seen anything like that before in a video game, And that's why I get like annoyed with these Nintendo fans just saying, oh, Breath of the Wild invented everything in the world,
I think
Breath of the Wild to Nintendo fans. Breath of the Wild is to Nintendo fans as Rise on Rome is to Xbox fans. It created everything,
I think the thing
about
it
gets that
is
joke.
It is always.
I made it earlier.
I think the thing about it is it's always whatever's within the zeitgeist that people automatically magnetize to when something else is doing something that has always been done. At this point in time, Breath of the Wild is the popular cat. So, everything that comes after that is going to be considered, it's going to be a ripoff of that.
Now, that isn't to say
here's the thing.
Hold on, just real quick, Manny. That isn't to say there aren't ripoffs. Genshin Impact, the Phoenix game, yes, that's clearly taken from Breath of the Wild. No one's going to deny that shit.
I mean, the thing about it is Genshin Impact, I mean, the only reason why anybody is saying that is because it's a cell-shaded game. There is nothing about Genshin Impact that is like the Zelda game.
There's a couple animations that are like,
there's actually quite a few things, Manny.
But I'm saying, like, again, like a number one, like, if there is something that's taking from something else, that's fine. everything's game out there.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just
make a
don't
fucking
say
deep-
Breath of the
you
Wild
don't-
is the most
you don't-
innovative game on earth.
You don't go saying, "Hey, we're gonna make a Deep Impact and then we're gonna make Armageddon." It's the same shit. They had the same inspiration. They're both making fucking Meteor movies.
Yeah.
It's just about who's doing the Meteor movie better.
Here's what I don't understand. Like, you can say this all you want, but at the end of the day, Horizon Zero Dawn actually took nothing from Breath of the Wild that actually made Breath of the Wild. You still have to climb on fucking handholds. You're still clearly directed from one zone to another in a very kind of cinematic approach. It's not a sandbox. It's an open world game, right? Like I can't see where this has things with Zelda in
literally the hand glider. That's all it is. It's the hand glider.
It's just the hand glider stuff.
It's just the hand
And
glider.
then people, and here's the thing: the New Horizon game got a double whammy because everybody's accusing it of stealing from Just Cause because you have a grappling hook now.
Well, I'm sure they did.
So.
Where did the hand glider idea come from? Yeah, it probably came from Zelda. But again, they're not the first one to do it. That was just like, oh, you know what? We should do a glider because they've been doing that in another game since then. And like a hook shot. There you go. Fucking sure, why not? Because they like that. Just like, there's nothing wrong with them seeing something and kind of making a nod towards it. It's not ripping anything off to be like, oh, people seemed to like this.
Yeah,
that's
fine. That's fine. I'm just saying, stop saying that Breath of the Wild is the most innovative game on earth. That's all I'm asking these fans. That's all I'm asking.
Man, you sound like you just really have a problem with Breath of the Wild. You seem a little
well,
about
the
that.
thing is, like, think about this. Yeah, I mean, I've already said that game is highly overrated, and then I've had to hear these stupid ass fans for the last 4 years talk about how it's the greatest thing on earth. It's fucking annoying, and I will be very upfront about that.
I'll be honest. This sounds a lot like the whole like Sony fans can't let anybody but Sony do something good or innovative kind of argument. I mean, you're protesting a little too much, man.
I'm protesting, but it's just fucking annoying.
I'm just saying, it sounds like you just don't want to give credit to Zelda for anything.
Because I don't. That's why.
And that's
and
that you can say that.
Not over a fucking game that's that game. If you want to give it to fucking Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past, the first Zelda, you go right the fuck ahead. Those games deserve it. They fucking innovated. They push shit forward. Breath of the Wild, no. It nothing.
Okay, that's I gotta solidly disagree with it. Same way, like you could say Dark Souls wasn't innovative because games used to be difficult, but it brought back difficulty in games when it wasn't really being utilized. Zelda brought back sandbox mechanics when it wasn't being utilized much. Everything, you fucking opened your map and there was just fucking quick marks, check marks, like fucking everywhere. You could see literally where every single thing was. Not the area, not a hint, where the fucking end collectible was. And it was just an issue of going around the map and picking up all these little fucking trinkets. Since then, games have dialed back on that. They're trying to make it more immersive. They're trying to make it so that you have to go to a place and then kind of home in on it. I even saw that shit with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So you can't sit there and say that it didn't have any kind of impact because things like Horizon were the worst perpetrators for basically, here's all your fucking map icons. And honestly,
you act like that's the only sandbox game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
World of Warcraft did it way before that.
Minecraft, that's another big sandbox too.
Okay. So you guys just heard sandbox? Is that the only thing you heard off that? Let's simplify down
That's
this
just
then.
one of the points.
So why have we dialed back on map markers since?
Have we? I haven't noticed that.
Wow.
I'm seeing as many map markers as possible, man. As always, the only game that didn't have them was Breath of the Wild, which I thought was fucking annoying. I'm like, you're wasting my time here. Tell me where the fucking shit is.
Dude, Assassin's Creed Valhalla dialed back on the map markers.
No, not really. It was all there, man. It's all right there on the map.
Not until you climb the tower and open them up.
Yeah, well, that's the Ubisoft thing. You got to climb the tower and then you get everything. Like
that's actually weird Ubisoft Towers thing that Horizon 1 copied as well.
Yeah,
just
every
just
open world game.
Knife in there.
Yeah. But the thing is, no one's here saying that Horizon is the most innovative original game ever. It isn't. But motherfuckers saying that it brought Breath of the Wild, and I will never agree with that at all.
You're about to say I take offense to that.
I do take offense to that.
Tony just hates Breath of the Wild. A lot of Sony fans do.
But it's not about Sony thing. It's just the game's overrated. and I will
It's not
always
about
say
the Sony
that.
thing. It's just that you don't want to give Nintendo credit. No,
I-
it's different. I get it.
But I just literally just said like 2 minutes ago, I will give credit to innovative games from Nintendo like Ocarina of Time and Super Metroid and Super Mario World. Those are Nintendo games. I'm giving them praise, you know?
You're giving the ones from the '90s praise.
Yeah, the
Well
good
done, man.
ones. You know, come on, man.
You're totally not hating on a company when you say they haven't put anything out that's advanced the industry in 20 some odd years. That's not like a backhanded compliment at all.
Yeah, well, you know, aside from the fucking Wii U controller or Wii controller, Nintendo innovation not so much. Let's just be honest here, you know.
I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but
They let them disagree, you know, but anyway, good discussion.
I think a lot of this is getting into the fact of preference rather than actual facts.
Yeah, there are no facts here. There are no facts here. It's just fucking.
I think a lot
opinions.
of this is just personal fees rather than actual looking at something and looking seriously objective. And it's at least on one end, it's obviously with you, Tony, who does not think that Breath of the Wild is worth, considering to be innovative, which I disagree with the part of it not being inspiring. I do think that game is quite inspiring. We've already named games that have already taken inspiration from it, but also the same thing with on the other end with Brett on Horizon Zero Dawn, who refuses to see what it is doing what it's continuing to do as well.
Not refusing to, not able to, and again, it's the same as with Witcher. I said the first game, I don't have a problem with the first Horizon. Seems like a fantastic game that is well produced and has a lot of fans. It just doesn't do it for me.
So you're a hater just like Tony is.
I'd say it's a little bit different.
It's both hating on different sides of the spectrum.
My thing is, I will freely admit I'm fucking hating on it. That's the difference, you know.
How am I hating on it when I'm saying
Fuck Breath of the Wild? Is that clear enough?
Tony's never said that Breath of the Wild is a bad game.
No, it isn't. It's a good game, but fuck that game. You know? Oh man.
So then what goes back to what was the original question again?
I don't even know anymore.
Because we're not even we've already gone.
Why are Sony fans upset over? Why are Sony fans upset over Breath of the Wild comparisons? And I flipped it around like why are Nintendo fans saying this is the most innovative game on earth?
To be honest, I don't think Sony fans should be mad at all about the Breath of the Wild, inspiration or whatever if they are taking from it. To be honest, every single bit is game. If it's out there and they think it adds to the whatever they think that this game needs, then why not? I mean, fucking Roger. If Star Wars comes out and then Roger Corman wants to jump on that bandwagon and make his fake fucking Star Wars ripoff movie, then who the fuck cares if it's making him money? Yeah, War of the Stars or whatever.
Or Battle of the Suns. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like the Battle on the Stars or something. Yeah.
I think it's important to mention something like Manny mentioned. Breath of the Wild is definitely inspirational in terms of the industry.
I will give it that. It's inspirational.
It has everyone, a lot of gamers consider that as sort of the pinnacle of gaming. The Metacritic score says it itself. It's fucking like a 90 like 98 or some crazy stuff like that. It's like super high, one of the highest games ever. But also it's important to, objectively, talk about the facts and like what did it actually innovate in terms of innovation versus inspiration. When I saw the whole Breath of the Wild hand gliding thing, the first thing that I thought was, shout out to Chris, was Just Cause. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah,
Just Cause shit. It was like, so that's what I thought. I didn't think of Breath of the Wild, and I played more Breath of the Wild than I have Just Cause. So,
but then there's that audience that's questioning if they even played that game. Because
that's the
this
thing.
Could be the first time. It's it's always the same shit. Like with Nine Inch Nails and the whole thing with her. I was like, oh well, that's Johnny Cash's song. So what the fuck? What?
And that's when I heard myself. And that's the thing with this whole Breath of the Wild thing, is that I think a lot of people use that game as a litmus test for a lot of things, because Nintendo is sort of kind of like how Sony is in a way. They're kind of limited in the titles that they get to show off. Like when there's a reason why Breath of the Wild is always in this fucking conversation, and that's because that's the that's the game that I guess most Nintendo fans have decided to pin it against everything else.